What is going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here at Steam7904. If you want to get all technical on me, that is a daily fantasy handle around the industry. It's 5:30 on the dot on the East Coast, 2:30 West Coast, 4:30 Tennessee time. So, of course, it's time for the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today, you know him from such things as the Morning Grind podcast, being a NASCAR savant, and behind the scenes, we just talked about disc golf for 10 minutes. He takes this disc golf very seriously. It's Stevie. What's going on, dude? How are things in your world?
I take everything seriously, Dean. Gosh. Do you remember we were in Vegas one time and we bet something? I can't even remember what it was. And I instantly found you because I take everything serious, Dean.
We bet something about a certain player, a wide receiver, either not scoring a touchdown or not getting 80 yards. And on the very first play of the game, he scored a touchdown or got 80 yards, and I lost. I got no sweat. I lost instantly, and at 103. Well, I guess it would be 10:03.
Yeah, it was really early.
Yeah,
I have the photo somewhere of you holding the. I think it was a $20 bill or something. I have that somewhere.
I was very upset. I was fully tilted, but at least it wasn't like you sucked out. It just sort of happened right away, and yeah,
it did.
All
I was super high on. I know it was somebody with Tennessee because I was super high on Mariota for that. So yeah, that was fun.
It dates the story too because it was Mariota. Yeah, that was good times for sure. That's a good, hey, football's right around the corner. You guys can go ahead and we can go ahead and drop this in the chat for the people. What up, chat? Feel free to like and subscribe and turn on notifications, do all that good stuff. You can get Stevie's NASCAR package, obviously, but you can get any of our sports, just one sport, and get $10 off your first month, or get all the sports with the exception of Stevie's NASCAR package, which is a la carte. That would be NFL preseason, which is tonight. I know Jamino had a write up on that. I think it's a 2-gamer going down tonight. Of course, there's more games this weekend, I would imagine. Baseball, NBA, it's going to come back very soon. NHL, ditto. PGA, which is pretty much year round, college football as well, soccer, MMA, esports, WNBA, tennis. Do we have disc golf content? I don't think we have that. I could be wrong. I think they do have disc golf games, but I don't know if we have content for that just yet. But you get the tools, the articles, the videos, all that good stuff. You guys get a lot of videos for free here on YouTube. Obviously, there's a whole bunch behind the scenes. You get Grinders. Well, this is Grinders Live. You get Crunch Time. I couldn't think of the name for some reason. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth and two of the experts, just like tonight, they'll be talking about the baseball slate going straight up to lock, and your expert filter rankings, and your ownership percentage, and the lineup HQ, and the lineup builder, the projections, all that good stuff. All right, just got the plug out of the way. I get out of the way for the people. And again, we'll go ahead and drop that in chat. $10 off either way your first month, a la carte one sport or all the sports with the exception of NASCAR. Whew, yeah, 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks away, I think it is now, right? By my math, is that 20 days until the official start of the NFL? Are we excited, Stevie?
Yeah, I'm always excited for the start of football season. Basketball is right around the corner too. It feels like it's right around the corner. It's crazy. We're gonna we used to have that break when baseball ended for 2 months before basketball started ramping up, but with the scheduling changes and everything, we go right from baseball to basketball. We got football going. NASCAR has 12 more weeks left of it. There's just so many sports going on right now. So For anybody that is a part of the NASCAR package, I just updated NASCAR projections. There you go for trucks tonight.
There you go. There's a race tonight. I was not aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, so baseball season goes essentially to the end of next month. So we have about 5-ish weeks. And I think NBA training camp starts like in 6 weeks. So there's going to be a really small break where there's no baseball regular season playoffs. And then eventually NBA will start back up again. I know they released their schedule today too. And yeah, it just never stops. And like you said, there's usually a couple of weeks where you're just going to chill and just playing NFL for a couple of days here and there and you have to relax a little bit, but it's going to be, it'll be a small break. We'll have a little bit of break for sure. But hey, we like doing this. We could be digging ditches, which is not a lot of fun. My understanding, I've not partook. All right. As far as the slate tonight, 14 gamer, the Cubbies, they do their deal. They play in the afternoon. Massive slate going down tonight. Coors slate, some really, really good bats. We'll talk about soon enough. You got everything. There's a slew of good pitchers at the top, which I'm kind of having a hard time separating. I think we're going to have a good conversation on that. What's your general overview as far as his 14 game slate tonight?
I mean, it's a really good slate. I mean, we have a lot of pitching that has ceiling. We have pitchers that kind of stink. So we have plenty of hitters that have ceiling. There's a few sneaky spots, just kind of looking at like projected ownership just in general. So I mean, that's just kind of what you're looking for on a 14 game slate. You're looking for potential, some pivots, you're looking for ceiling, and you're looking for home runs. So I think this slate provides a lot of that. And I mean, 14 game slates are not my favorite. Everyone that listens to the morning grind knows this. I really like 7 to 10 game slates, but this one, I feel like you could cross off a couple spots. And I mean, the only thing that I'm like so iffy on still is like cores just in general. So I mean, we'll talk about that as we're kind of going through these positions.
Yeah, Coors is a tricky one because we have two bad offenses, like basically two bad offenses. I think the dude for Arizona that threw a no-hitter in his first ever start. Congratulations to him, but he's like a 27-year-old rookie, and he got lucky in that game. You have to get lucky when you're throwing a no-hitter. A lot of balls were hit hard, but right at people. Just how it goes down sometimes. And Gomber on the other side, coming back, I think from I think he had a baby, or I would say his wife or fiance or girlfriend had a baby. You want to get all technical. Coming back from that list, and he's been pretty good, like pretty decent, and actually pretty decent at home, pitching in Coors, and also that Arizona offense is kind of sort of awful. Then you have the Yankees, who are just smashing like crazy. Well, they've just so much power in that lineup. Rizzo is sitting for what it's worth. Atlanta, but we talked about them pre-show, me and Devin, very briefly. Atlanta, in a DH now, and Baltimore. Baltimore has Stevie. They have not won a baseball game since August 2nd. I think that's bad, right?
That's almost about the same amount of time that me and you have won a baseball game. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, they've lost 15 straight, and they've been getting walloped too. It's not like they're losing like nail biters. Toronto versus Detroit at home in the Sky Dome, where the roof's going to be open, pretty interesting as well too. But we'll talk stacks in a second. Obviously, we're going to talk arms first, and so the arms, it's really good. I like a lot tonight, and it's kind of hard to parse through and figure out who I'm going to like plant the flag in, so to say. Chris Sale. Well, let's start with Chris Sale, because that's your team, that's your guy. First game looked good, plenty of Ks, no walks, and tonight he draws Texas. He threw plenty of pitches too. I think he went 5 innings and threw 89 pitches. Is that right? It's off the dome.
Yeah, and I mean they were cruising in that game too. So I mean they didn't really need to push him. He had a 40% K rate. What I thought was interesting is they stacked like all 20 guys that he faced the other night were all righties, and he still was able to, kind of limit everything, generate ground balls, strike out people. I mean, the matchup was good, but this matchup is good too. Texas lineup, it kind of stinks. The lineup that rolled out today is atrocious. Let's be honest. I mean, Garcia's a good hitter. Peters, there's a lot of question marks around him, but I mean, a lot of strikeouts there. This is a fantastic spot for Chris Sale. And like maybe he gets 5 to 10 extra pitches here, but even if he's around 90, I think the price is okay. And I think that like he's just the top pitcher on the slate.
Yeah, and if people are new to MLB DFS, you're not fully aware of Chris Sale. Chris Sale was one of the best pitchers in all of baseball for a good run there, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, until he had some arm issues. But he looked pretty solid his first game back. Like you said, there are two lefties in this Texas lineup, Holt leading off, and they have Martin also batting eighth. And their righties, just there's a lot of, I mean, I know the monsters lurking there and the righty power and whatever, but just if you look at the plate IQ, there's a lot of red. Red is bad, basically, as Peters in a small sample and Garcia, like we talked about. The absence of Gallo from that lineup, just all the power basically sucked out of it, more or less. I feel pretty good with Sale, and I think he's got a path to. He's probably not going to pitch 7 innings, but why can't he pitch 5-ish to 6 innings and strike out 7 or 8 and get the W? And that's good enough, right? It's not like he's got this extremely exorbitant price.
Yeah, I mean, I think even at 90 pitches, like I said, I think it's enough here. There's strikeouts top to bottom in this lineup. And we really don't even know about, Hernandez and some of these guys towards the bottom of the order. But like, this lineup's so bad that Holt is batting leadoff against Chris Sale. I mean, that tells us everything that we need to know about this lineup. So, I think, like I said, I think Sale's the top pitcher. And I think there's arguments to be made for Robbie Ray, Walker Buehler, Lance McCullers, all these guys. There's arguments to be made for all these guys. So do you want to go to Buehler and Ray? Like, they have really good umpires. They're in good matchups. I mean, both of these guys could easily outscore Chris Sale. And they should come in at lower ownership. I think Robbie Ray might end up being like the highest owned pitcher on the slate.
Let's pull up our ownership, because in my head, I feel like Sonny Gray might be the most heavily owned, especially on Fanduel, where you have like a real price difference. And he hasn't been great of late, for what it's worth. But, the Marlins are just dreadful. It's just a bad team. I know they're getting a ballpark jump there in Cincinnati, but you also do have to hit the ball as well. It's interesting. So on DK, we have Ray at 38% as far as our ownership. This is our projections. This will change the closer we get to lock, obviously. And it's bunched together like we kind of talked about. We got Ray at 38, Sale at 35, Gray at 34, and then Snell 23, Giolito 14, and Buehler at 12, which is I think that's kind of sort of right, even though you could probably argue he's like the safest of the bunch. He is the most expensive. And you are pinching pennies in some instances as far as making lineups, especially on Fanduel, where his price is pretty big too. I like Buehler, but he's not this big K guy. They did have a bullpen game yesterday. They've had several bullpen games, the Dodgers, so they can certainly use Buehler to, give that bullpen a rest and just sort of eat up some innings. He's got a decent shot to go 6, 7. I mean, probably not 8, but it's in the bag. It's in the conversation. It's a possibility. I just don't know if I'm going to get there, but if I'm aiming, I'm not. I'm just making like 8 lineups on each site, on Fanduel and on DK. I'm probably going to make one with Buehler, at least one with Buehler, but there's plenty of other step downs, which we've talked about, and we'll talk about a little bit more. Give me your thoughts as far as Buehler. Is he worth the few extra bucks?
Well, do you know, he's thrown at least 6 innings in 7 straight starts, and 6 of those starts, I think he's had at least 6 strikeouts. Or at least 7 strikeouts. So, I mean, ceiling wise, he probably has the highest ceiling on the slate. They will let him go over 100 pitches. He has a fantastic umpire behind the plate. And I mean, the Mets lineup is it's okay. It's nothing special. It's very beatable towards the bottom of the order, as long as like Villar and Cisco and Davis and those guys are in there. So
McCann is still going to be out, right? I know he's been out. Is he most likely not going to play? It's going to be Cisco most likely.
Pretty sure that's what I was kind of thinking too.
Yeah.
So I mean, just overall, I think if Robbie Ray is going to be massive chalk, I think Buehler is a very good pivot off of him. Like you said, I think Sonny Gray is one of the best point per dollar pitchers on the slate. It's really hard to argue that. He's like $1,000 too cheap for facing Miami. The guy that just kind of flying under the radar here is Lance McCullers going up against Seattle. Like, this lineup's not fantastic. He's going to be lower owned because he's priced in this range of like Sale and these guys. What are your thoughts? I'm just kind of curious on your thoughts on Lance McCullers, especially for like tournaments, not cash games. I think cash, you're just kind of going like Sale Ray, both in that range, and just kind of, or even like Sale Gray, if you don't want to go Robbie Ray.
Yeah, McCullers is super talented, awesome curveball. He's just so frustrating to watch. I'm sure when
You
you watch
can't
him,
watch him. Watch the
he
truck race instead.
he just nitpicks sometimes, and he'll have those 24 pitch innings. He's a ground ball guy, and he can get 2 quick outs pretty. That definitely, and he get that double play, which kind of helps that pitch count. But he's just one of those guys that he just has that one inning every single game, even when you least expect it. It's like, oh, he's got 7, 8, 9, and it somehow takes him 30 pitches to get through, and he walks up a couple guys. But I think he's super skilled, and obviously the Seattle team's not very good. And it's interesting. I think it's more of a Fanduel conversation too. Him and Gray are like the same price on Fanduel. It's 8.5 versus 8.3. And if everybody's going to go to Gray, McCullers is just as good, if not better. And we'll talk about Gray in a second. I think I get to elaborate on that because he's not been in the greatest form. It's more of like, hey, he's got a great matchup against the Marlins. The Marlins are terrible, but he hasn't been spectacular. But the deal with McCullers is, 28.7% Ks. That's really good. The walks at 10.7%. That is somewhat concerning. And it's also a Seattle team, that's not great, but they're willing to walk. Crawford at 10%, Seager at 11%, Fraley at 19%, Kelnick, even the young guys got some patience at 13.8%. Of course, he strikes out a good bit too, but McCullers is just and for that reason, like he's rarely going to go beyond 6. He just sort of labors out there sometimes. I like him, and it's just they're all just sort of in the same kind of bucket. But if he's going to be lower owned, if that's what we're seeing, I think that McCullers is a fabulous play in tournaments.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. That's kind of where I was leaning. I like the ownership on him. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think if you just look at these top end guys, they're all just phenomenal plays. And I mean, there's spots that like I want to see what the Oakland lineup looks like, because sometimes they go like way too lefty heavy, even against left-handed pitching. So like, I think you're going to have to wait to see what that lineup looks like as far as like Alex Wood is concerned. But I mean, Sonny Gray, right, Dean? Like, Miami stinks. Sonny Gray is good. And I mean, yeah, there's nothing really more to like, hashtag analysis. There you go.
Yeah, but like Sonny Gray is another guy that walks too many people. The Ks are pretty good, 28.5%, pretty solid.
Don't overthink the spot, Dean.
And the Marlins, well, the thing I was going to say about that is the Marlins, while being terrible, they also don't walk. There's only one guy on their team that has a 10.3% walk rate. Outside of that, we're looking at a bunch of guys at 5, 3, 4%. Collectively, they're at 6.2% as far as walking versus righties this season. And there are plenty of Ks in that lineup. Again, are they running out the 2 catchers? Yep. Alfaro and Jackson, they're running out. I assume Alfaro's in the outfield again. And Jackson, it's Sanchez is a young prospect. He's got some power, but he also has, holes in his swing. Jazz is back, and Aguilar, 2 solid hitters. Rojas is just kind of annoying because he doesn't strike out, but he's not good. He'll give you a good professional at bat. I just think that I think for tournaments, if Gray gets this like massive ownership, there are really legitimate spots to get away from him. Is just sort of the argument I would make. And we've seen Gray, and if you want to do the lazy sort of like game log thing, you look at his game log, it's not been great. It's just been pretty rough. And 3 walks last game, 3 walks before that, 2 before that. The Ks have been mostly fine, but mostly pretty good. It's just that I feel like there are legitimate pivots away in tournaments. And if you're playing cash games, it's probably where you're going. But, I'm perfectly fine going to a McCullers instead of Gray. And now on DK, it's a little bit different because Gray is 8.4K and McCullers is 9.5 and Ray is 9.9 and Sale is 9.7. There's somebody else we didn't talk about. And this is, a tournament written all over it, facing the tournament team where you play the hitters many times for tournaments, but they also strike out plenty, is Giolito. What are your thoughts as far as Lucas Giolito? Because I feel like you're talking about somebody getting lost in the slate, and I agree as far as McCullers to some extent, but I also feel like, where do we have Giolito? I bet he's not that heavily owned. Thoughts as far as Lucas Giolito?
Yeah, I mean, my problem is like, this is a different Rays lineup. It's not that like super heavy strikeout team. I think there's 5 or 6 guys with walk rates over 10% this season against righties. I mean, this guy pounds the strike zone, and this team makes contact. So while I think Lucas Giolito has upside in any matchup, I think his ceiling is a little bit lower in this matchup. You have to like the ballpark. This game's in Tampa. So I mean, in tournaments, you're playing large field tournaments, sure. Like he's 9,200. This is a guy that in some starts this season we paid up towards 11K for. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a little iffy in the second part of the season, and like the strikeouts have still been there in some spots, but when he's faced low strikeout teams, he hasn't shown that like ability to go get them. So he's I get what you're saying about lost in the slate. He's probably lost for me on the slate, but I mean, everyone knows I play 1 to 3 lineups in baseball, so I just don't think I'm going to get Giolito in there today. To get different, really like Walker Buehler. That's where I keep ending up to just be different today.
DK specific, we have Giolito at 14% currently projected as far as the ownership. Buehler at 12, Max Fried at 12. At 8, I'm not really in on that. I like the other guys better. I think he could be fine. I'm not going to besmirch. McCullers is at 6% because again he's got a pretty big asking price at 9.5, basically in the same ballpark as Ray and Sale. Mikolas coming back to pitch his first start in a while, but he did throw 80-ish pitches in his last time out, and he's kind of sort of a cheapie if you need him, but I don't feel excited about it. Not a great pitcher, but good ballpark, and Pittsburgh's kind of terrible. Gomber is kind of sort of somewhat interesting if you need to like really open up salary, but again, just kind of a bet against Arizona, and he's been pretty good, and he's been fine at home too. So the one we've avoided talking about here is the Forrest Gump type, box of chocolates. What are we going to get? What are we going to get from Blake Snell tonight? I never know what to do with Blake Snell.
Is the Philly lineup out yet?
I wouldn't think so.
Because I know Hoskins is getting close to being back. So that obviously makes it a little bit tougher for Snell. So I kind of want to wait and see the lineup. I like the price.
He's not back. Not to interrupt you. He's not back. Segura, Realmuto, Harper, McCutchen, Baum, Bonifacio, Torreyes, and Williams.
So, I mean, Snell, the strikeouts have been up for him a little bit. The price tag is fantastic at 8K. I don't mind, some Blake Snell here. I hate playing Blake Snell when he's going to be 25 to 30% owned, and I think that's kind of where he's going to end up tonight because
he's cheap.
Just you look at the bottom down here, and I mean, like Gomber is someone that I really like. Like if I was maxing out 150 teams on this slate, like I would probably have like 10 to 20% Austin Gomber. Because like I like some expensive stacks in the slate. Like we're gonna talk about stacks, but really like Toronto, really like Atlanta, really like the Dodgers. And like if you're starting to look at those types of teams, then I mean a guy like Austin Gomber kind of relieves the salary. The problem also that I have with Gomber, like in any format outside of like I'm chasing a top end prize, is he has an extreme hitters umpire and it's in course. So I mean, he's someone that can pitch really well here, and he's going to be low owned because pricing is pretty soft today. Like we have plenty of hitters that are just ridiculously too cheap on this slate. So like Christian Walker is 2.6K in course. Just to throw one out there, like the dude is so cheap. So I mean, I like Austin Gomber for large field tournaments. He's someone that like again, like if I was maxing out this slate, Dean, I'd have a ton of interest in Gomber.
Yeah, I did the rankings today, and like on big slates, you rank 8 pitchers, and we consider salary as well too. Obviously, we live in the world of a salary cap, but so the guy I was debating back and forth who to rank 8th on DK, and I was debating between Mikolas and Gomber, and I saw one person rank Mikolas 8, so I'm like, let's put Gomber on the board. So yeah, I think both those are the two guys that I think if you're playing cheapies, you want to as an SB2 to kind of open stuff up on DK. I think it's between Gomber at 5'9" or Mikolas at 6'9", the Lizard King first game back. But again, he had 5 rehab starts, and Pittsburgh's terrible, and he's not this big K pitcher, but he has a decent chance to go out there and be okay and pitch 5 to 6 innings. Not going to put up a monster number, but the theory, of course, is he's the guy that you roster to help you get the big bats that presumably, bang out some homers.
And he has, and just one more thing about like Miles Mikolas, like Buckner's behind the plate and he's a good pitcher's umpire. Miles Mikolas is that like control type of guy. We talk about it all the time. This dude, if he's getting an inch, he'll keep pushing it out to really see where he can kind of go. He'll generate ground balls. I think the ceiling is low, but at 6.9, if you get a good solid outing and he wins and you score 20 fantasy points and your bats do their thing and like you get your top end pitcher right, I mean, really, like we're not playing like Mitch Keller, we're not playing Tyler Alexander, Dane Dunning, or Barrio or Barnes. Like we're not playing these guys. So I mean, when we're looking at the slate overall and just kind of looking down at the slate, there's only a few pitching options down in this range. So and I think that's why Blake Snell's so interesting. I think that's why he's getting so much ownership today as well.
I wanted to get a sample size that below the plate IQ, and I fired up Mikolas, from 2019 to 2021. Of course, he hasn't pitched much this year, but we're looking at a guy that doesn't strike out a lot, 18.8%. That's not great. But like you said, he's really, really savvy, 4.5% as far as the walks. He's going to get the ball put in play, and he's facing a Pittsburgh team that's really bad, and not just really bad, but the lineup they're rolling out today strikes out at 26.1%. If you push it back to 2019, Gamble at 28%, Polanco at 29%, Castro at 35%, small sample, Hayes at 24%. Everybody strikes out at least at 21%, stretch back to 2019. Again, he's not a big strikeout pitcher, but his ceiling to get strikeouts is greater today than it normally is. He might get 5, which would be spectacular. Maybe he gets 6, who knows? One last time before we kind of move on as far as pitchers, I do want to, you mentioned it a couple of times, let's tell the people, they like to hear it, if you don't have access to the lineup HQ, the Rotogrinders tool here, we'll tell them who the extreme hitters umpires are, the extreme pitchers umpire. There's a whole bunch. Extreme hitters umpire for the following: Dane Dunning, Chris Sale, Gomber, Tyler Gilbert. Extreme pitchers umpire. Pitchers umpire for the following: Carrasco, Bueller, Tyler Alexander, Robbie Ray. That's nice. Sam Hentges, Max Fried, Jaime Barria, and Keegan Aiken. I don't think that's going to save him. One more time, chat. Do fire up your questions. We have not prompted that just yet, but your questions will be a part of the show later on. Devin, our fabulous multitasking producer, he's going to go ahead and compile those questions. He's going to jump on the show. He's going to ask the questions on your behalf. Do specify, is it for Fanduel? Is it for DraftKings? Oh, there goes my alarm. That's telling me I have to get a Wayne Gretzky autograph, whatever it's called, NFT. Sorry about that. Got to get in line for that one, Stevie. It's like $500 or $1,000, but I think I just have to buy it if I win it. I'm not going to win it, spoiler alert. But yeah, fire off your questions in chat. Do tell us, what have we talked about? It's a monster slate. What do you want to talk about strategy wise? How are you approaching this slate? Stacks, fire off your stacks. We'll talk about that in a second as well too, but give me the summary as far as arms. We'll talk about some bats, and I'm going to jump in the line and see if I can get myself a Wayne Gretzky NFT. Very exciting.
I mean, if I had to rank the top end pitching today, I'd go Sale, Gray, Bueller. But if I was looking for like someone to be different, like I said, I like Bueller a lot. Robbie Ray's right up there as well. Hate playing Robbie Ray as chalk. Blake Snell's in play. I definitely want to look at the Oakland lineup when it comes out as far as like Alex Wood is concerned, because Oakland does tend to go lefty sometimes. And then on the cheap end, we just kind of just finished talking about it. Gomber and Mikolas, neither one of them are safe by any means, but I definitely think they're in play. So I think that's what I got at pitching today. Did you get in line? Did you get it?
I got in line, and you're going to be proud of me. I was able to identify what a boat looks like on the very first try. I got all the boats. They said, all right, you nailed it. Let's get you in line. I usually it takes me 2 or 3 times for the captions. It's like, wait, solid. Is that a sidewalk? I don't know if it's a sidewalk. I'm not sure. It's just like a little corner of it. Does that count? Am I the only one that struggles with those? Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah, so let's talk about some stacks. I think, Atlanta jumping to Baltimore. We talk about how rough they've been. Grabbing the DH just, gives you a much better chance to overturn the offense. It's not like an automatic out the first couple of times around. You only have 27 of those, are precious. And being on the road, you're guaranteed to have 27. You might have 24 sometimes if you're at home. And that stuff matters. That stuff makes a difference. Locked in for 9 in Baltimore against Keegan Aiken and some bad arms. That is my favorite stack. Albies is probably my favorite hitter on the slate. Just the way, he's one of those lefty masters that people don't talk about him being a lefty master because he's a switch hitter, but he crushes lefties. He is expensive. He is pricey, and like a DK, you're kind of put to a price point where like, if you got to save some salary somewhere, like a guy like Polanco is super, super cheap. I believe he's leading off today for Minnesota against the Yankees. Not exactly the greatest spot in the world, but he's been good. And his price is just goofy for whatever reason you're talking about. guys that are too cheap, like Polanco getting a really decent shot at 5 ABs in Yankee Stadium at 3.5K. That just seems kind of wrong. Yeah, Atlanta, are you with me? Do you like the Braves? Are they one of your favorite stacks, or feel free to bring some stacks that you like?
I like Atlanta a lot. Right there with you. The thing that I really like about Atlanta in this spot is like you can make your Atlanta stack so different by just going like 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7. Riley, Swanson, Duvall, Darno.
All
Because
playable.
everyone, what?
They're all playable.
Yeah, I mean that's what's great about this stack in general. Yes, Albies is in a great spot. Solaire's in a good spot. Throw Freeman in there. Like Aiken's not going to pitch deep into this game, and if he's pitching deep, your stack's not doing what they wanted him to do anyway.
Yeah.
So definitely get Freeman in your Atlanta stacks. I really like Toronto, like the Yankees a lot, but I would say my top stack today is the Dodgers. The late night hammer Dodgers. I mean, for some reason, these late night games just kind of go a little overlooked. People hate waiting for the lineups to come out. They want to go to dinner, especially on a Friday night. So I think this is a great spot. Carlos Carrasco is not Carlos Carrasco of years ago. This dude is struggling big time. And I mean, if they get to Carrasco early, you'll get the bad part of that bullpen. So I really like the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a lot like Atlanta. You can stack anybody for the Dodgers just because the spot is just so good.
Carrasco in his last 2 starts, coming back from his injuries, 3 total innings, 4 total home runs. Yeah, like I don't think it's the same guy either.
They just crushed him. They just crushed him. Like it was not pretty.
I had the Dodgers. I think I had them 5th in my rankings of my stacks. I hate that ballpark. There's a really good chance they lose the 9th inning, and I know it sounds stupid because like if it's 12-3 in the 8th inning, who cares? You don't necessarily need the 9th, but I like them.
But again, like on a 14-game slate, Dean.
Yeah.
If you're going Sale Gray, you're getting the Dodgers at like 5% as a team, maybe 10%.
Do you have a favorite Dodger? Muncy, if you believe in like guys being on fire and hot, that guy's just banging out homers every single night.
Well, isn't Carrasco? I could be wrong, but I think Carrasco is really easy to steal on. So like Trey Turner, this should be a good spot for him. I'll have to look that up really quick, but I'm pretty sure like Carrasco is someone you can steal on. So Trey Turner with Muncy, Seager, Will Smith in there is like an expensive catcher to be different. Yeah, I mean, just everybody.
Carrasco this year, 1 stolen base allowed in 11 innings previous season, 2 in 68 innings previous season, 3 in 80 innings previous.
Then I'm wrong, Dean.
Before that, though, 15 in 192 innings. So that's like an outlier.
So like maybe, a full season, his last like full season, maybe he gave up some stolen base. But Trey Turner will run on anybody.
He'll run on anybody. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. How about the Yankees? No Rizzo tonight. Boyd getting his way. He wants to get some at bats. He's getting some at bats. He's not leading off tonight, but he's in there again. I played that Velasquez kid last night. Speaking of stolen bases, that kid was stealing anybody. And it's a cool story. He's from the Bronx. You know, it's just how awesome is that? Living your dream. Like, you know, he grew up wanting to play for the Yankees. That's what he's doing. And that's a cool story. Good for him. Batting 8th, and he's 2K still minimum on DK. I know there's an opportunity cost at shortstop for sure. Trevor Story, Correa, Bichette, Bogarts. There's Seager. I like a good bit. There's a lot of Swanson. The shortstop there for Atlanta. There's an opportunity cost, but if you need to save some salary, I don't hate that. I think you can play any of the Yankees tonight versus Charlie Barnes and his friends there. Nice ballpark, obviously. 6.4 total speaks to that. The Yankees, are they on your Family Feud board of favorite stacks tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Minnesota bullpen numbers and stuff, and you're like, you just get so excited about this because Barnes is just not going to pitch deep into this game, and you're going to potentially get like Duffy coming in and throwing some innings here, and it's just like, all right, load it up. Like, you're going to get 2 bad pitchers in a row. The Yankees are in Yankee Stadium. You're not getting the 9th. The Yankees are going to win this game. We didn't even talk about Cortez when we were talking about like pitchers on this slate. He's another guy that's kind of like a fringe play today as far as pitchers go. The lineup is not the best lineup for him. They threw a lot of righties in there with only a few lefties. So Cortez was someone that I didn't mind this morning. good strikeout stuff. But I think overall, he's just kind of like a fringe play. I just wanted to quickly go back and touch on him. I know someone asked it in chat a few minutes ago as well, so we're gonna get that question anyway. But yeah, like I said, I like the Yankees stack. And like, dare I say, like, keep playing the Red Sox. I mean, Dane Dunning, Red Sox are hitting the ball well.
They're going to be ignored. By Cortez last time out, he threw 98 pitches and a converted reliever. 98 before, last time out in 6 innings, let him go. 80 before that, 86 before that. So, he's basically fully stretched out, if need be. He's interesting. He's a little bit off the table for me. I'm not MMAing. I'm not running 150. If I was, he'd probably be in the bucket for a few, but I'm probably not going to play him for what it's worth. But yeah, talk to me about your Red Sox.
I mean, just this lineup overall, it doesn't look necessarily sexy, but like adding Schwarber gives JD Martinez and Xander Bogaerts and Devers like just so much protection in general. The heart of this lineup is just so good. And Dane Dunning is a guy that gives up a lot of hard contact. He does generate ground balls, but the good thing is, like, I think everybody outside of Verdugo is like a fly ball hitter for the Red Sox. So, I mean, this is just a spot. There's going to be a lot of hard contact, a lot of line drives, and the heart of that lineup is just so much better with Schwarber in there.
Yeah, and they can't seem to. I like how they kind of they're always messing around, like who's batting where. And today they moved up Devers is batting second, which that kind of stuff.
It.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, that's the difference between getting that fifth at bat and not getting that fifth at bat many times. And the fifth at bat can be the difference of having a good DFS day or not having a good DFS day. That's an increase of 20% usage, and it might just be a pop up. Who knows? But just sort of throwing that out there. Yeah, Kike, Devers, Bogaerts, Schwarber, JD Martinez batting fifth, Verdugo batting sixth. By the A's lineup is out: Kana, Marte, Olsen, Lowry, Gomes, Chapman, Harrison, Pinder, and Elvis Anders.
So they went very right-handed heavy against Wood today, so it's not as good.
Padres is out and looks pretty standard. I don't think they're missing anybody. Pham, Tatis, Machado, Cronenworth, Nola, Hosmer, Myers, Kim, and then, of course, Snell is the pitcher. No Dodgers lineup. The Dodgers tend to rest like one of their stars basically every single day. It's just because they have too many guys. Well, even Betts is going to be out. He's still out for a while, but man, that their lineup is completely insane. Bellinger he hit 8th again yesterday. How about Toronto? The roof's going to be open. Oh, spoiler alert! I did not win the Wayne Gretzky. I'm currently in line. 13,000 people are in front of me. Should I just jump out, or maybe there'll be something goofy will happen? I'm not going to get it. There's only like 100 available. So, all right. Yeah, Toronto. It's going to be in the low 80s. Let's see. Roof open, light winds. I'm just pulling up Ross weather stuff here. And for what it's worth, nothing really projected too goofy, too scary as far as rain, precipitation. Roth will clarify that later on crunch time. But yeah, I think Toronto is pretty interesting. They got a big total against Tyler Alexander and another rough bullpen there for Detroit. I was in Detroit yesterday, or was yesterday the day before, where they just completely fell apart, and that game against the Angels turned out to be 13-10. Their bullpen absolutely collapsed. The Toronto bats are pretty cheap as Toronto bats go. They were getting a slight discount on some of their hitters. Simeone is less than 5K, 4.9K. I like Alejandro Kirk as like a punt catcher. I'm pretty good with him. Thoughts as far as the Blue Jays? Are there any other stacks that are worth talking about? Maybe we'll turn it over to Devin in the chat shortly and see what's on their minds.
Yeah, I think Kirk, like you said, I think he's one of the top catcher plays on the slate. Not just one of the better Toronto stack players. I mean, Toronto in general here, this is a fantastic spot for them. I said it on the morning grind. Do you know how many home runs Marcus Simeone has, off the top of your head?
He's having, I would say, 26. You're
close. Marcus Simeone has the quietest 29 home run season going. He just quietly hits them, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think he signed a 1-year deal and he's going to get paid. Good for him.
Yeah. Get out of Oakland and definitely showing up. But yeah, man, I think
Dunedin and Buffalo didn't hurt.
Yeah, definitely a good spot.
which by the way, just as retroactive to Ray, like Ray's pitching numbers, like he's not pitching. It's not great to pitch in Toronto, and it's great. You know, you prefer the road be closed there, but you know, his pitching numbers are hit a little bit by pitching these games in Buffalo and Dunedin as well. So it's kind of a slight upgrade as far as his season outlook. Anything else that's kind of worth a look, worth a gander, that we should kind of focus on, or just turn over the chat and see whatever's in their mind. We'll focus on what the people want us to talk about.
Bring it on.
Let's bring it on.
Devin,
let's bring it on.
That's your cue, Devin.
Let's bring it on. Let's bring it on. I think it's time to bring it on. We got a lot of questions, so we should probably go ahead and jump right into lightning round, I think. First one, I say that, and I'm starting with Shannon's question. We need the Dean 2-1-1-1-1 build for tonight's lineups.
Oh, come on. I don't think I don't see, you know, I say something and then people take what I'm saying literally, and I don't mean that seriously.
You know, in college, people used to say, they would summarize that by saying, let somebody find out you're good at something and you'll be doing that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's play some stat games. We'll start with the Dodgers. Dean.
Yeah, we don't have the lineup just yet, but we can assume it's going to be pretty good.
And we can also assume there will be one or two people missing that are in the projected.
Well, you can't play everybody. Like, they can't play 12 guys, and they have 12 guys that are competent. Well, I'm probably rounding up.
Why not?
It's not softball. We can't play 10. So I'm going to give the Dodgers a 4. I like the Dodgers. 4.
Stevie?
10.
Well, wait, hold on. Stevie just changed the game.
Stevie gave a 10 on a 1 through 5.
You didn't listen to the morning grind.
I've been
Everybody who
outed.
listened to the morning grind would get the joke.
Explain the reference. What am I missing?
No, I got the Dodgers at 5. They're like I said, they're my favorite stack today.
You got them at 2 5s.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna score at least 10 runs though.
Stevie, Atlanta.
Oh man, they're strong too. I'd go. I don't want to go back-to-back 5, so I'll go 4.9.
Dean?
Yeah, 4.91.
Toronto, Dean.
I like them too. They're in between. They're in between. For me, I have Toronto in between Atlanta and the Dodgers. So let's go with 4.65. Big number.
Stevie?
4.89. You ask questions about the 3 best stacks on the slate.
Well, we're starting with the big guns, but now we're going to round it off here. San Fran, Stevie.
Kaepernick can get wild. They can score some runs. Not the greatest ballpark. I'd go like 2.5.
Dean?
Yeah, I'll say it too. The one benefit is they're out of the National League, so they can't do their double swaps, but they can still do their pinch hits. And San Fran's got a good collection of platoon hitters. Like Darren Russ, not going to start this game, but at some point he's going to get a crucial at bat, and your guy's going to get taken out of the game.
So what that means is stack the lineup and make sure 1 or 2 of them are not in the actual confirmed lineup.
They're just annoying. They're just super annoying. They're just good, but they're only good at hitting from one side a whole bunch of them. And yeah, I have them at a 2. I'm most likely not playing any.
All right, Dean. STL, the Cardinals.
Mitch Keller is rough. Edmund is cheap leading off. I like the tower, and he'll play on DK too. I like the Cardinals a good bit. Well, as like a secondary stack, I would say a 3.
Stevie.
I know it's my turn. So the thing about the Cardinals that only makes them interesting is the pricing on like all the secondary pieces are pretty cheap. So I don't know if I'd full 5-man stack them. I'll give them a 2.5 as well, but I think like O'Neal, Edman, and guys like that are like 3.5K are very interesting.
All right, Diamondbacks, Stevie.
I mean, pricing, right? The pricing is just so good. The ownership's going to be pretty low on them because they stink in general. I'll give them a strong like 3.5, even though I do like Gomber. That'd be one of those like hedge spots. I would definitely play both sides.
They're annoying. I wish they were more expensive because I wish I can just ignore them, but they do kind of sort of like make stuff work. As cheapies, at least in cash games on DK, like Ahmed leading off, we talked about how strong shortstop can be. He's 3.2K leading off in Coors Field. I know he's not this great hitter. Gomber's decent. But Carson Kelly, the catcher's batting 4th, and Walker's at 2.6. I just wish the prices like Asdrubal, just super rough season, but he's 3K. I wish I'm going to be mostly off them, but I'm probably going to have a couple of them as fillers to make the plays I actually want work, if that all makes sense. So I'll put it at 2.5.
Gomber is 5% on DK. You can easily get a couple of lineups with him and then get some Diamondback stacks on the other side.
As leverage?
The one would say, yes.
Yeah.
The Twins, Dean.
They're another one that's really, really cheap. I talked about Polanco being cheap. Donaldson's been rough. His bats look bad, but he still has plenty of power when he gets a hold of it. Garber's another guy really solid, and he just annihilates left-handers. Probably only going to get 2 at-bats there versus Cortez. It's a cheap lineup up and down. It's not very good. Like Nick Gordon's batting 6th. Ref Snyder's batting 5th. Is there somebody else missing in that lineup? Oh, Sano is have either bereavement or something. He's not playing tonight. He's out for a while. So, yeah, again, the same sort of deal with Arizona. There's some cheap guys that are playable. I don't love it, but salary constraints is going to put me there. So I'll say a 2.5.
Yeah, that's a strong 0 for me, Devin. Next.
Wow.
We got a flat 0. We hit the floor,
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
no.
Came crashing down.
I like it.
What about Cleveland, Stevie?
I mean, you want me to be honest, right? Like, I have 0 interest
We got
in
another
Minnesota.
0?
No, I mean, on the Cleveland side, I would much rather play like the cheap Cleveland bats in this spot than like even thinking about playing Minnesota. So I don't mind Cleveland. They're not my favorite. Give me a 2, I guess.
Dean?
I mean, it's the same deal. It's J-Ram and Reyes, and everybody else is just kind of meh. Wilson Ramos is a fine punt on DK at 2.8K. Reyes is 3K on Fanduel, which, like, if you need that for cash, that's fine. He's a really strong play. Jaime Barria historically and in years past was kind of reverse splitsy, give up some power to right-handers. That's exactly what Reyes is. But I just can't get excited about Miles Straw and Owen Miller. These are real people. I've seen their photos. Andres Jimenez, Daniel Johnson. Again, sounds like a creative player. That's an actual person that plays baseball. It's a 2. I'm not in on it. But Maria's like one of the worst pitchers in the slate. So I get it. I just don't like the collection of bats on Cleveland.
I think we need to rectify the stacks game to include a distinction between primary and secondary stacks. Maybe full versus mini stacks. So we'll talk about it.
Mini stack Cleveland I'm fine with. I'm not gonna
that's what I'm saying is a lot of these teams we're getting 0s on. I would mini stack like Diamondbacks, Twins, Cleveland.
We'll just bring it back to Monday. Like, there we go. Monday, Dean. We'll bring it back Monday. I think I'm on the show Monday.
Probably.
We'll just bring it back.
Cincinnati, Dean.
I think Hernandez is kind of good for Florida. So Miami. As I Cincinnati's fine, but I'm going to be on him less than the field. Moustakas is really, really, really cheap on FanDuel. He's really cheap on Yahoo as well. Basically the floor. I think he's $8. But I'm not really on Cincinnati, which I'm a little bit concerned with. But and I get, again, they're if you want as a secondary stack, sure. But I'm going to be less off Cincinnati than the field. More off them.
Yeah, I think Hernandez is a decent pitcher, but if he does get into trouble, I think they'd be very careful with him. So he's a guy that gives up home runs. This is a good ballpark. And I mean, the Cincinnati Reds are a fantastic leverage team. They hit home runs. They got plenty of power throughout the lineup. Tyler Naquin's batting 2nd today. And he's like 2.3K. So, I mean, I definitely have interest in the Reds, but they'd be like that. Let's do the secondary type stack thing. Because I think you could go Naquin, Castellanos, and Votto and go 2, 3, 4 there. So I'm going to give them a 3.5, Devin.
All right, we're going into Uber lightning round. 10 words or less for each answer. Stevie, your sneaky stack.
Cincinnati. Dean can't do that.
That's who the rule is for, Stevie. It's not for you. Peter Porker, favorite Boston players in a stack. Let's go to Stevie for that one.
Sorry, I was like laughing.
Are you counting them?
Devers, Schwarber, Bogarts.
All right, moving on. Trey wants to know favorite FanDuel stack. I don't know if any of you are playing on FanDuel, but maybe some.
I am. I mean, my favorite is Atlanta, and like we said this the other day, where Freeman went nuts against the starter.
I'm counting way over 10 here.
Yep.
It's probably Atlanta or Toronto. Am I muted?
No, not yet, but you're gonna.
I don't know if you have the ability to mute us. But,
I do. Alan says Baltimore mini stack to get pricey bats for DK tournament. Stevie.
No, don't do Baltimore. There's so many other stacks.
Dean, this is going to be tough for you. BJ wants a DK cash pitchers and a around the horn. I'm just kidding. No around the horn. Give me some pitchers for cash.
I think you start with Sale. And I'm okay if I land on Ray. I'm okay if I land on Gray. I think it's two of those three. I think it's Sale, Ray, and Gray. Two of those three as far as your cash game pitchers on DK, and probably starting with Sale.
We'll let that one slide. Stan, FanDuel tournament, Ray or Sale? Stevie.
Sale. You don't play Robbie Reyes chalk.
Yeah, I think the saying we landed on in chat is chalky Ray, no way. Dean, Eric wants DK tournaments. Thoughts on Mikolas versus Pittsburgh?
Yeah, we talked about it. Like, don't expect 25 points, but I think he's got a decent shot to grab 15. And, you know, the theory is that the bats are going to make up the difference. I was too wordy there. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I'm okay with it.
I
counted 37.
I'm struggling to make a joke about the 10% and how that's no longer a thing because Dean just can't get to 10. Eric also wants to know, should I fade Ray? And I think maybe the tournament consensus maybe yes.
I like Bueller a lot.
I won't be fading Ray.
Stan asked.
I wouldn't fade him. You could go underweight.
Tournaments, McCullers.
Yeah, I'm on it. He's going to be low owned on DK. On FanDuel, he's a little bit cheaper. Makes more sense, but he's good for both sites for me.
Derek wants to know, Stevie, what equipment is Josh Berry in tonight?
Rackley roof, what he's been running in the trucks for the last few weeks.
All right. DK
that wasn't for me. That was a Stevie question.
That was specifically a Stevie question. Do you have,
Could you imagine?
Do you have your thoughts on Josh Berry's equipment, Dean?
150 words
when Stevie
later.
found out that I did not know how to change a tire, like he looked at me differently. He's never looked at me the same.
Minus 350 on that. Seriously,
he was so disappointed in me. Like I've lost so many.
I was so disappointed.
All right, we'll end on this.
If you ever come back to Central Florida, like up in this area, I'm gonna teach you how to change a tire.
All right, we'll end on this one. Jay asks a little bit of a strategy question. I play a few single entry tournaments, and tonight I'm taking a shot at a large field tournament. Do you stay with one lineup throughout, or do you make multiple?
Stevie, go ahead with that.
No, I mean, like, okay, this is not a 10-word answer, but do what you do that is successful for you. Stay to the single entry strategy and play single entries. Like if you're gonna play a heavy large field tournament, I mean, just try to get contrarian if you're gonna play one lineup in it. But I mean, I think you should stick with the single entry stuff and keep doing what's working for you.
A smart answer.
I would give an even longer answer. That's why I passed. Devin, who's coming up next on Crunch Time?
We got Keith Eister filling in for Grant along with Cheese and Roth. Grant was feeling a little under the weather after the show earlier. So,
yeah. Also, you want to wish, I think Christy from the RG team is out there in Denver to win the finals. I believe it goes down on Saturday or Sunday, not always certain. Andre, of course, you guys know Andre's on the show all the time. He's taking a shot at, what is it, a half a mil? Is it a mil? Not really sure what it is, but it's the Fanduel Live Finals.
Isn't it tonight?
I don't think it's
tonight. I think it's tomorrow.
The parties are tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a 6-game slater on a Saturday or
they're all at course tonight though, right? I think that's what
they might be. Yeah. They were talking about it yesterday, and Andre was talking about not stacking the game while being there, which is that breaks all the rules. He's probably gonna.
I mean, the self-control. Seriously,
I do not have that self-control. By no means.
All right, Dean, take us home. We're way over.
Speaking of self-control, we gotta go. I gotta stop myself.
Way over 10 words here, Dean. Come on.
If you guys want to go ahead and get RG Premium, you know how to get that. We'll go ahead and drop the link in chat. Again, $10 off your first month for one sport, all the sports minus NASCAR. Do hit the like button on your way out. We do appreciate that. Keeps the lights on, helps up the channel, yada yada. Subscribe, turn on notifications. That was Stevie. That was Devin. That was Baseball. I was Dean. We're out of here. Enjoy your weekend. Holler!